Hey everyone, my name is Joel and I'm a senior program facilitator here at ServiceTitan, one of the facilitators working on the Ignite, Ember, and Spark Sessions programs. And today I'm going to be bringing you a brand new TAD tune-up video on the TitanAdvisor feature called Run Purchasing Reports. This video is going to be talking about the reporting side of purchase orders, so not necessarily purchase orders themselves, but the reporting side of it. And I will say before we dive in is that if you are not using POs or doing any kind of purchasing through ServiceTitan or tracking your purchase orders through ServiceTitan, it is well worth your time to talk to your CSM, book some time with them, and talk a little bit more about why you may want to start doing that in ServiceTitan. You can also check out the Masterminds Facebook group, all good stuff there. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into ServiceTitan. So I'm going ahead sharing my screen, and we're going to start off in that rocket ship top right hand of your screen. You're going to take us over to TitanAdvisor, and we're going to go down over to the purchasing and inventory section underneath the business sections on the left. And then we're going to move over to acceleration. And what we're looking for is this one, run purchasing reports. You'll see this maybe on the left-hand side of your screen, maybe on the right-hand side of your screen, but if you're in this spot right over here, you should see it somewhere on this screen. So before we dive into the feature, I want to call out that this is worth 3 points. So if you complete this feature, those 3 points will roll into your overall Titan score. We're going to go ahead and click on that feature itself, and it will bring us into that feature. So we're talking through running purchasing reports. And like I said at the beginning, this is not necessarily talking about doing POs in ServiceTitan, although you really wouldn't use this if you weren't doing POs in ServiceTitan. But this is really talking about the reporting side of doing purchase orders in ServiceTitan. So because we're talking about reporting, all these different features have these primary and secondary business goals on them. So the primary business goal on this one is going to be that little light bulb, which is gaining business insights because it's a reporting feature. The other one is going to be increasing efficiency. And this is a feature that is relevant for all customer types. So whether you do residential service and replacement, residential or commercial construction, or commercial service and replacement, pretty much everyone does purchase orders or procurement, or they buy materials and equipment to install elsewhere because that's the name of the game, right? That's the business that we're all in. So why we want to do this is we want to use this feature because running purchasing reports helps us get up-to-date metrics that affect your procurement, your inventory, and your job costing. You don't need to have inventory on in order to be able to run purchasing reports, right? So like purchasing within ServiceTitan is essentially a module that allows you to track your purchase orders. And then inventory is kind of something that's layered on top of that that allows you to track the inventory that you're holding. So regardless of whether you use inventory or not, you could still use this feature as long as you're doing purchase orders through ServiceTitan. Let's scroll down and let's talk about we have one thing to set up and we have one item on how to actually use this feature and actually get those 3 points for this. So the first item that we want to set up is enabling the purchasing module. So this is why I was saying if you aren't doing POs, you probably are going to want to talk to your CSM to get this enabled. But this lets you set up multiple vendors, custom POs, manage billing, create returns, and more. You can purchase items from the office or technicians can create POs while working on the job if they have permissions to do so. And to enable this feature, please contact your success or implementation manager. So if you already have this feature on, or I should say this setup component on, you actually won't see this over here. It'll be collapsed and you'll say you'll have 1 of 1 completed. Going down onto the behavior component of this is we've got to talk about running purchasing reports. So what this is measuring specifically is the number of times a report has been run or scheduled based on the inventory or inventory line item report template in the past 30 days. So again, if in the last rolling 30 days, it's looking at if the number of times, the total number of times, which will be over here, so that current will tell you what that total number of times, that a report that has been run or scheduled based on the inventory or inventory line item report template has been run. So if you've done this over 4 times in the last 30 days, you'll get 3 points for this. Basically, hey, we want you to run this like once a week, right? That's kind of what this is asking. So this is saying to build out, you can run custom reports to gain insights on your purchasing and inventory management. The inventory template reports on purchasing transactions and the inventory line item template reports on individual price book items used within those transactions. So where we're actually going to go next is we're going to go over into our reporting. I'm just pulling up another tab of ServiceTitan over here. We're going to go over to reports within ServiceTitan. There's two things that you can actually kind of do with this is you can actually just type in purchasing or purchase, right? And you'll see a few different reports over here. So we've got this aggregate purchasing report. This report, I don't believe would actually give you the specific points for this feature, but we've got a few other reports over here that you might be interested in using. The first one is that purchase order line item report. The next one is the purchase order line item transaction date updates. Though this report is a list of purchasing line items that includes all status dates associated for detailed tracking. And then the purchasing report over here, this report is created based on the inventory report template that outlines the purchasing history of different items. I'm just going to pull up this purchasing report over here. And if you want to, you can go ahead and schedule this out. I would probably recommend scheduling it out. It just makes it a little bit easier to, instead of having to go in here every single week and pulling this report, you can go ahead and schedule out this report and include the specific information that you want to. For this one, I want to do a flexible report because I want to create a customized view of my report. And I'm going to call this our purchasing report. I want this attached as a PDF as an Excel doc. I want to do the trailing 7 days. And I want to do for all date types, right? So I want to see what was created when it was sent, received, billed, returned, picked, anything like that. You could also filter this by business unit. You could also filter this by transaction type. And I want to do just purchase orders on mine. I'm going to go ahead and click on that next button, and then we can send this to individual recipients, entire business units, entire teams, kind of whatever you want to. And then we'll go ahead and click on next. And I'm going to send this report every week at 6 a.m. on Saturday. So it's going to look at the previous week, or maybe I even want to do this on Sunday, right? Like looking at the previous week and get all the information from that week. And now we can filter the content. So this item ID, if you hover over any of these like top columns, you can see what they are. This is the unique ServiceTitan ID assigned to the material or equipment item on the inventory transaction. Item description, inventory location, vendor name, tech name, quantity received, item total, last purchase order cost, last bill cost. I'm gonna go ahead and just schedule this out. There's one report that you can run that actually shows this, but what we can also do is if we go ahead and look at some of those purchasing reports, if I go ahead and just click into that report, I can run this kind of on an ad hoc basis if I wanted to. So I'm gonna look at the last 365 days and look for all my purchase orders, and we're gonna go ahead and save this out. And I'll be able to see all the different items that I've purchased in the last 365 days, right? I only have this one thing over here because I'm in a wonky demo account. I'll see the number of quantity that was received, the unit cost, item total, and then last bill cost, right? I can see a lot of the information based off of how much I've purchased. So a quick pro tip too, also if you want to, you could also go ahead and filter these out, right? Like I can go ahead and use any of these filters to see like, hey, is this equal to something? Do I want to look for a specific business unit? There's like all these different things that you could do with the filters too. The last thing that you could do that I kind of like to do, might not make sense on this report, is that you can also go ahead and group these together. So if you click, hold, and drag one of these column headers and bring them up to the purple groups by, it will group all like items together. So a good example of this, of how you may want to do that, is like, let's say you want to look at items from a specific vendor, but I want to see all the different vendors on my report, right? So I don't want to go ahead and just filter the report by an individual vendor. What I could do is I can group by a specific vendor. And so everything from Wonka Factory will be in one section. Everything from Acme will be in another section. So yeah, that's what I've got for the crew today. If you have any questions about this, definitely throw them into the comments on this video. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day and excited to see a little bit more about what reports you end up building out for your purchasing. And with that, have a good one, y'all.